Hey guys, Evans with a Z111 here today bringing you a video on Celestian Tales Old North. Now this is a very refreshing RPG that's come out on Steam recently and I think it's going under the radar by a lot of people. But I will first of all show you, if I quickly go into new game, you can play through the game as any one of 6 characters and all of these provide different dialogue and different story effects and everything like that. So that's a little cool thing that's in the game. But the game itself, it may from what you see look like a typical RPG, and as you can see it has a very nice art style that I'm particularly fond of, and even the animations, they all feel very polished and well done. To say this is done by a company and they've all pretty much hand done everything, it's not by some huge developing company with animation software that they can render it easily with. Not saying animating is easily, but I digress. The game itself, just the art style, it's very watercolory and it's refreshing because it's modern, but it's classic at the same time. They've taken a classic style, like with sprites and stuff, but then they've made it with high quality, and I think that is fantastic. The game itself, though, yeah, it's an RPG, and if I get into combat eventually, then I can show you exactly what the combat's like. It's very much turn-based traditional RPG, but the game itself doesn't feel like a cliche RPG, it feels very real and gritty. The world itself, there's a lot of focus on politics and religion and everything, and it's fantastic. I'm currently in a camp of war though, and I'm reporting to this guy Arthur, and basically you play as a group of squires who all wish to become knights. All characters you saw at the beginning, they all have their own stories and their own motives and everything like that. But we're training to become knights, and right now we're in this war camp, so that's the context for what's about to happen. Long time no see, squires. Are you the scouts for Lord General sent? That's right. Alright, I guess you'll do. Lord General Severin asked for an overall assessment of the surrounding area. For that, we need to look at things from a higher ground, and for that place would be the Needle. The Needle, it's a tall peak pointing north. The name comes from its long pointed shape. That would indeed be a good vantage point to see the whole White Plains. Oh ho, you study the maps well, I see. I just enjoy reading, sir. To reach the Needle, you need to go to the northwest until you find the Grey Forest. The rocky path leading to the Needle can be found within the forest, but be careful, a fierce, large beast roams the Grey Forest. I don't fear any beast. You should. With this one, the Grey Giant is fierce and formidable. It's blind but has very sharp hearing. We must stop lightly then to not make any noise that awakens it. Well, let's just draw its attention and hit it with all we have. I'm sure the soldiers will appreciate some meat in their dinner. Please, Reynard, if you'd like to tempt death, don't ask us to tag along. Listen to me, squires, no matter what happens, don't fight with the Grey Giant. You may think that you're strong, but believe me, you're not ready yet. Okay, so it looks so that's going to be a choice that I have to make. Luck we doth need, only the Deus. Okay, so that's a fairly typical, straightforward thing, and I'm pretty glad, because if it was any complex, then not only would it verge within spoilers, but it would kind of distract from the point of the video. So it looks so this is where I want to go. The world map, as you can see, it's not exactly very complex, but it serves its purpose, which I'm fond of yet again. And so let's quickly, in fact there's no point, I've made no progress, what's the point in saving? So I'll hop into a battle here. As you can see the enemies on the map, but then this is the battle screen. You have 3 people in your party. You can do a straight up attack on the enemies, or you can use a variety of skills. Now, these enemies shouldn't be too formidable, so I should just be able to wipe them out with some standard attacks. I will say though, as I said, it's a traditional RPG, but they've modernized it in many ways. One of those ways is when I say they, I'm referring to the developers here. The developers don't feel as though they should load down the game with battles. They want the battles to be few in frequency, but high in quality. That is what their approach has been to the battling in this game. As a result of that, things are very different from traditional RPGs, such as every time you end a battle, you recover all your HP and you start with the same amount of stamina every time. And again, this is something weird to get used to, but it means that you don't end up just... One sec, just quickly checking the skills there. You don't end up avoiding fights so that you have mana for a boss coming up in an area. You don't kind of end up like going into a battle before a boss just to get all your HP and stuff up. You're not reserved with your abilities too. You have abilities, so you can use them. It's kind of, I guess the best way of comparing it is, it's called stamina in the game, but, well, the stamina is the equivalent of mana, it would be called in another game, But the way I see it is just momentum, pretty much. The longer you're in a battle, the more you can cast abilities, but when you cast abilities, it's kind of like you lose that energy and you need to build up the momentum again. That is how I see it. And I think that's a great system. It's great not to have to lug around mana potions and loads of restoratives, and basically then dungeons become endurance tests, not a matter of skill or anything like that. So I really like that. I think it's a really good system, and they've not been afraid to shy away from the typical RPG formula, while still having turn-based combat, which is something I love. A lot of modern games these days seem to be like, okay, we're going to make an active combat system so that the player doesn't get bored, because turn-based can be very sluggish sometimes, especially if it is a matter of, okay, I need to save my MP because I know there's going to be a boss coming up, or I need to get through this entire area, so I can't use my MP in this battle. It's nice, it really is, and I do like that. But enough about the gameplay itself, because I'm sure you'll see enough of that over the coming minutes. But the story and the world, because I am going to compare this to something like Game of Thrones, where you have a lot of different parties out there in the world. It's a very built up world, and everyone has their motives, everyone has their own agenda. It's not, okay, here's a good guy, here's a bad guy, they're at war. There's lots of different nations involved, there's lots of different parties. You can see, I mean, my menu with the characters, you can see Arya, Yllian, Reynard, Isaac, Lucien, and Camille. Arya is, initially, she's the character I picked to play as. She came off as a sort of paladin, holy Templar type person, and I thought, okay, she's going to be a cliche, typical paladin character, which I guess she is in her skill set. But as far as her character goes, her character, in fact, I'm going to throw down protection because I noticed I was taking a lot of damage in my last fight. Her character herself is very, very naive and snobby. Like, she is tactless. She wants to kill things she comes across, and to commoners, she treats them like absolute shit, which is realistic of that kind of character. She's a noble-born, she has a rich family, and she has a very sheltered life, which has meant she doesn't really have sympathy or empathy for other people, and she acts really bitchy, to be honest, but it's because of her upbringing. It's understandable. It's not just, okay, we're going to make a character that acts like a complete stuck-up snob. She genuinely is a complete stuck-up snob, and that's why she acts like she does. Then you have characters like Reynard, who actually have a sort of like, he's not as well off. He's the one holding the axe. He's not as well off, he's not as highborn as Arya, but it turns out they actually get on better than most of the other characters. They agree on a lot of their principles, because he has a kind of a respect for honour, I guess, and, well, just brute force, which is kind of, I was going to say something controversial then. I was going to say it's the religious point of view, but no, I mean it in the sense that Arya's grown up with okay, religion dominates, nothing else should have any right to the world, and everything needs to follow, like, we all need to work, or we all need to act for the gods of the world, and everything like that. So because of that, these two very opposite, contrasting characters have similarities, and I think that's realistic. They're not cliche cookie-cutter characters, is the point I'm trying to make. And that is just within the characters themselves. There is an entire world with political parties and gods, all of which are have something going for them. Again, it's not just okay, this is a bad nation who wants to take over. It's okay, this is a nation that believes in religion and follow very orthodox views, and then this is a nation that has more, I guess, just views on the way things should be done. Like, I will give an example. I don't think I need to use many skills, so I will just attack through these guys. I had to defend a village from a bandit attack earlier, because they were being attacked by bandits, and I was going there to get some food off them in return for money off Arya's father, because we were going to buy food off them with money, and we were going to use that food to hire an army, essentially. But then that village was under attack when we were trying to buy the food, so we had to protect it. Now, one of the other party members, for Lucienne, I believe it was, she's a fighter, but she's grown up in a different kind of society, and she said, okay, it's stupid taking on all the bandits front up, we should sneak around and we should basically make the bandit leader surrender. But I refused, and Reynard and Arya both wanted to just fight them head on because it was more noble So I did that, and we ended up getting to Bandit Leader and defeating him in battle, or defeating her in battle rather. And then Lucien was like, okay, we need to send her to trial, and we need to give her like a just trial in front of the court. Whereas the others were like, no, let her hang. She's tried to kill people, she's stolen, it's clearly breaking the law. It's very unmerciful, is the best way of putting it. The characters do have stats if I go back into the gameplay a little bit. It feels as though the equipment isn't straight upgrades, it feels as though a lot of them have varying reasons for using them, like the Ritual Blade. It increases her heal amount, but lowers her attack damage, and technically I got that like 2 hours into the game, so that should be an upgrade, but it's not, it's a side grade, or it depends if you want to change your playstyle. So I like the varying equipment and different kinds there are. It feels like it's nice, even things like Concealed Scabbard, which causes less aggro, which means I can use his skill which decreases his attack defense in favour of it increasing his attack. I really like things like that. And all the characters do have their different skills and passive skills and equipment, which is pretty nice. But this is a game that I think is going to go under the radar. As I said, I think it's a very nice little pickup. It's a lot better than some of the other RPGs on Steam, and I wanted to give it some exposure. And it is being released in, well, it's split into various chapters, and the way it works is you follow the characters as they grow up through the years, and you make choices in the game, and the effects of those choices become apparent over the years. Like, it does have a very much impactful choice system in place. And it is, or like, as far as the world goes, there are 3 parts of this game planned, but as far as these characters go and these specific stories, they are all going to be concluded in this game. So I wanted to do a video on this game to give it some more exposure, because honestly I do feel as though it deserves it. Everything like the little animations in battle, yeah, they've gone for traditional RPG, but it doesn't feel as though they've cut corners. If I do need to try and be objective and criticise it, I'd say that I don't like the fact that the enemies on the maps, they're all just represented by black fogs. I don't know if that is for technical reasons, or I don't know if they intentionally wanted to say, okay, we don't want the players to know what they're about to walk into battle-wise, so it's kind of a surprise every time and you can't exactly prepare for it or avoid certain monsters, because like I would avoid these monsters because they keep blinding me and it's really annoying. And other criticism goes, they've gone for a, okay, we're not going to hold your hand too much feel, but I feel as though they've done it a bit too much. In the initial city, where the knights are all being trained, the main characters, or the squires I should call them, you start in this kind of castle, this fortress, and that's where you all rest and you train, and there's a city besides it. But when I was told to go to this village to get the food that I mentioned earlier, the one that was attacked by bandits, I was told to go northwest, so I thought, okay, I'll try and go northwest of the castle, but there was no way out of the castle from the northwest, so I go south into the town. And I've explored the town, but I like, it's very big and I didn't explore every nook and cranny, so I wasn't sure where the exit was. So I automatically went east to the nearby village thinking, oh, I can probably go northwest from there. But it turned out that I needed to get to the village where I buy the food from a boat in the dock. And I wasn't told about that in dialogue, nor was there any kind of guide or anything, or it didn't automatically take me to the dock. But I ended up checking through the little update thing in the menu, so I had to kind of do my own research. But there's no map or anything, which I feel is a shame, because I reckon it would greatly complement the art style of the game, having a nice map, like a very good looking, you can imagine with the art style how good a map would look, just an overworld map, that you can look around and see where all the towns are. It would have helped with my context and establishing where I am and everything. Okay, this should be a little bit more of a difficult battle, so this will be a nice one to end with. I will stick regeneration on... I'll actually stick it on Yulian, because Arya has her shield she can only cast on herself rather. And I'll cast that shield just so she's not taking much damage. And then Reynard can... I really do like Provoke. If I can get that off, that'd be great, so... I will just do some standard attacks on the smaller wolves for now, and then I'll try and take out the alpha. And as it is right now, Arya and Yulian should be fine, and then I'll cast Provoke on Reynard, which means he will be taking the attention off them. So let's see if I can't wait for Volley too, because Volley is a very powerful tool. Power Shot won't be too useful, because it's only good when enemies line up And I feel as though I've actually been pretty bad in the structure of this video, in that I've talked about the gameplay. One sec, do I want to cast heal? No, I don't. I just want to attack. I've talked about the gameplay, then I've talked about the story, then I've gone back to the gameplay, and I feel as though that's a bit scattered. So sorry if that was a difficult format to follow, but I feel as though the gameplay and the story, like, you focus on one at a time. Hell, that's why it's split. Oh crap, that did a lot of damage. Hell, that's why you need to focus, like, in games like this. Typically, you have a length of gameplay where you're running through a dungeon. I didn't realise I was bleeding, damn it. You have a length of gameplay, and you have story when you get to a town or whatever. Okay, I will use a bright red crystal, seeing as this is a boss battle, so I'm not going to be stingy with my items, and let's get Arya back to full health. And this is actually very tricky compared to the previous fights. I will try and take out this other wolf just so they have less damage coming in, and you don't have any stamina to cast any abilities, but I will be able to get Provoke off now, which means they will start attacking Reynard, who has good defense and a good HP pool, and it will also lower their defense, which means I can do more damage to them. So what I will just do is I'll cast my heals on Reynard if he needs it. As of right now, he should be okay, so I can cast Volley to do damage to all of the enemies, and then I should be able to wipe out this pack wolf. There we go. Now I can just focus my attacks on this guy. So with his oh damn it, Reynard, really have to miss. I don't like using axe characters typically. There's a guy called Isaac in the party who uses daggers, but I don't really like his skill set, and I prefer Reynard as a character, so that's why I'm using him over Isaac. If you do want to know though, if it's like a curiosity you have had, the characters do all level regardless of who you use in your party, so don't worry about that. You don't have to pick characters and stick with them. You very much get to swap them in and out depending on what you'd rather. I have stuck to these three main characters as I think they are just the best characters in my opinion. I like them most out of all the characters that are available, and I think their skill set synergizes with each other. They work with each other well. There's a good mix of damage, a good mix of AoE, and a good mix of healing and protective capabilities. So I have managed to succeed this boss battle and level up. Sweet. This is Wrath, Foist, and Pointed Thrust. As you can see, like Isaac and Camille got level ups even though they're not in my own party. But yeah, this has been my video on Celestian Tales Old North. I'm sorry if it's gone on a bit long, but it's actually gone on, like, there's a lot more to say than I thought there was. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you're interested in the game. I'll have a link in the description to the store page. And leave a rating if you enjoyed the video. This is me, EvansWZ111, and this is me out.